Greetings, my dears. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about my top oracle decks as a follow-up to my top tarot decks that I just posted. Yeah, I'm really excited about this video. I'm surprised that actually there's more decks on this list than there were on the last. I think it was just easier to narrow tarot than it is to narrow oracle. I don't know why that is, maybe we'll find out as we go. But without further ado, let us begin. Okay, so the first deck is going to be the Mystical Shaman Oracle. I think this one's not too surprising, considering, I don't know, I think I've talked about just how much I love this deck and how I feel like it's like a staple deck that, I don't know, not everyone should have, but like, I guess like if I was going to like build a collection for someone, like I'd put this in there, but maybe it's not for everyone. I don't know. Sometimes I get this urge to shuffle decks before I show them and I don't know why, but anyway, not all decks, just some decks. All right, so yeah, these are the backs and they're really beautiful, if you can see that. Yeah, I love it. So this deck, I find it to be, like I said, just all-arounder. I think it helps, for me, it helps me ground myself in my spiritual practice and just reminds me, like I feel like it's a really good reader. It's quite accurate, and it also, I feel like it gives so many avenues to expand and explore my practice. It also has a wonderful, sorry about that. It also has a wonderful guidebook, which I think you might see as a theme throughout this video. It's really good, and you know, I've read a chunk of the entries, not all of them though. But yeah, oh yeah, the rattle's a very, very cool one. Yeah, I love how the guidebook has the essence, the invitation, and the medicine. The essence is like the essence of the card. The invitation is if the card is upright, and the medicine is if the card is in reverse. I've done the spread that's in this deck, and I found it to be really amazing. I feel like I'm due to do it again. Oops. Note to self, don't put a book on a sloped surface. Anyway, this card holds a special place in my heart because it is prominently featured in my fellowship practice. But yeah, it's a wonderful deck, and I love the spiritual lens from which it comes from, and I find it to be very uniquely aligned with my own. I don't know, is it uniquely aligned or it's just aligned? Yeah, I love it dearly. I would just want to show you like cards, more cards than just a couple. But I don't have, honestly, that much to say about it. I think I've said in previous videos how much I enjoy it and how much I think it feels like a grandparent. It feels like an older being, ancestor kind of presence that just is really ancient. It makes sense because the first card in this deck is called the Ancient Ones, and I feel like that's what this deck sort of represents. It feels like a gift from the Ancient Ones. Yeah. And here they are. That'll be the last card I show. The Ancient Ones. I love it. Yeah, that is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. The next deck is going to be the Faceted Garden Oracle. A very special one because for so long I had no idea how I was going to use this deck. Like it just, like I knew it was right for me, but it just kind of fell, like it just didn't fit anywhere. Here are the backs. I'm going to try my best to show the backs of all the decks as I can. But yeah, and it has a holographic edge. But yeah, it was really hard to use this deck, excuse me, because it has titles as opposed to keywords. So it'll just name what's in there, and sometimes I really love that. I think most of the time I talk about how much I like that because it's it gives me the opportunity to put on my own meanings. Like it has a little bit of how do I grab this? It has a little fold out that it comes with, which it has a couple of keywords and phrases and stuff like that, or like, you know, little meanings. But it just didn't fit anywhere for a long time. But it found its place in my connection with Osiris. So yeah, that's mainly what I use it for, to communicate with him, and it works pretty well in that purpose. I find that it's really expansive, as you know, as I said before, because the titles are titles. I really can go wherever I want with it. But the other thing, the thing I'll say about that as well, though, is that it's not like Nikisha's Oracle. I've shown that in a unboxing, but Nikisha's Oracle, it's more of the image being illustrated, so it's a little bit easier to kind of bridge that gap between a title to a meaning. Whereas this, because it's so, it's collaged, it's abstract, you would think that it would be easier to like get a meaning out of it, because there's more like there's more feeling inside of it. But for me, I think if you were to just say beach, like, I would have a much better job of finding a meaning in that than if I was to see like an abstract image that said beach. I don't know how to explain that. Let me know if that makes any sense. But it works perfectly inside of my practice with Osiris and communication with him. And so that's where it belongs, and that's where it has been. And I really, really love that. Yeah, I'm really glad I got this deck when I did. And it felt so much more special when it finally kind of fell into place where it belonged. So I'm really, really grateful for this. And yeah, I don't have the other deck by this creator, at least the other Oracle deck. What is it called? The Illuminated Earth. I don't have that one, and I honestly don't want, I mean, like, I want it, but I don't want to get it because I feel like it would compete in a way, and I don't want it to compete because I feel like this one's position was so hard won that I don't want it to have to, I don't want it to go back. Like, I want to keep it in its special place forever. Yeah, and so yeah, it's a wonderful one. I could just be going all day. This is one of my favorite cards, I think. I love a good portal. So yeah, that is the Faceted Garden Oracle. Okay, I don't know if this is the Beth method. I don't know what's been going on. I'm getting so tongue twisted in my videos lately. I don't know if this is the best method, but I'm trying to go through the ones that are a little bit more expected and save the more unexpected ones for the end. Yeah, so Poesis. This is a deck that I shared in my Decks for Daily Draws video. It's amazing. It's so good. I actually haven't used it in like a reading in a minute, so I definitely feel like I need to bring it back into rotation as far as readings go. And I want to shuffle it. Get the feeling of wanting to shuffle some decks. The one thing about this deck, I heard the next edition's a little bit better to shuffle, like as far as oh, I didn't show the backs. Almost didn't show the backs. Here are the backs. Which I really love the backs. I think they're super cool. Maybe it's because I love 8s and lemniscates, so it's kind of perfect for me. It's my jam. I'm glad I don't have like the gilding, because I know that comes in a later edition. Mine came with like these, like, I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Get myself out of the way. All the like the little notches, they've worn down, but they were pretty strong in the beginning. Anyway, yeah, it's a super, I think it's such a accurate reader. When I did daily draws with it, I mean, obviously that's just the most intense long-term period that I spent with it. So it's kind of like my one big reference for it. But yeah, I just think it's one of those decks that's just, I talk about how the Mystical Shaman is kind of like a staple deck, and this I feel like is a staple deck in a different way. Like this one feels like more divinatory, whereas the Mystical Shaman feels more spiritual. I don't know if that distinction makes a lot of sense, but I feel like this deck is just a little bit more specific, which is weird. It's more general, which makes it be able to speak to a more specific situation. I don't know how to explain that. Let me know if you know what I'm getting at. But yeah, I think it's a great reader. The artwork is just so clear. There's just such a clarity in it, whereas I feel like the Mystical Shaman takes you more on a journey, whereas this one sort of gives you an answer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe comparison is not the direction that I should be going in. Yeah, so let's stop that immediately. Yeah, I just find this deck to be really beautiful, well illustrated. There's poetry for every card. Honestly, I don't use the poetry that often because I just don't usually have it on me. Like, I have to pull up on my phone, and I don't have like a bookmark for it or anything like that. So I rarely ever use the poetry. That might come as a shock. I don't know, because I feel like it's a really big selling point for this deck. But for me, it's not really how I use it. I did recently get this card in like part of my lunar practice, which is what I mean. I kind of fold this into practices, but I don't really use it on its own for like any like sort of random reading, which is, I really should. Like, yeah. So, yeah, this is the Poesis. I love this card. And this is on the inside of the box, I'm pretty sure. On the inside of the top. Yeah, here it is. I love that. I love that Sovereignty card. I really love that. But yeah, that's the Poesis. It's a very cool, very awesome indie deck. Highly recommend this one. I really do. I love it. Next, I think this one truly will come as no surprise. I don't know. The Dirt Gems. Come on. Dirt Gems. I feel like I'm going to talk about this deck way too much, and it's actually going to be in another upcoming video. So, just a heads up. But yeah, so for that reason, I actually have a few cards that I'm going to have to put off to the side. But anyway, so here are the backs. Very cool, reversible. So that's always quite lovely. Gold, shiny edges. Yeah, illustrations, top notch. Guidebook, top notch. Very, very cool. Yeah, I think, oh yes, I heard, just to go back really quick, I heard I heard then saw that the Poesis deck has a guidebook, a printed guidebook now. And so, yeah, that's on my list to get at some point. And I say that because I was just thinking about, oh my gosh, did I show if there was a guidebook on the last deck? Because I have the stack of guidebooks that are relevant for this. But anyway, yeah, so I see that is quite beautiful, and I definitely want to get my hands on it sooner rather than later. But yeah, back to this deck, the Dirt Gems. I'm a plant girly, and I connect with them very much energetically. I love flowers. I love them so deeply. Like, I just don't even know how to explain it. I just love them. And I love the way the guidebook talks about them. And they feel very aligned with the way that I feel plants. They have like certain roles and just certain energies that seem to just fit into our lives in such unique and powerful ways. And they're such blessings. Like, I'm going to use an example. So this is Evening Primrose, and I just want to take a quick look at it inside the guidebook and just show you kind of how it will be described. So there's 4 suits, which are based on the elements. They are, I always try to see if I can remember them. They're ablaze, adrift, amidst, and gosh, I know it's not what I think it is. I can't think of it. Afloat. I kept thinking like awash. So they all start with A, and they kind of follow this like naming convention. Anyway, so this one is, and they have the little glyphs at the bottom, or the little, I don't know what you would call them, at the bottom to indicate what suit it's in. So you can just see here, I'll just show you. I hope you can see that. So that's kind of what the guidebook looks like. And I find that really cool. I feel like it's a super helpful layer to the deck. But yeah, anyway, Evening Primrose is on page 62. Also, this is the indie version. There is a mass market version out now, which I'm super excited about. So I highly recommend this deck, obviously. It's called the Night Bloomer. And I'll just read the first paragraph and the last paragraph, just so you can get a sense. Lubricating, sweet, neutralizing, and cooling. Evening Primrose primes the way. A moon being and a night walker, they are soothing and nourishing, allowing our tissues to relax, emptying them of tension and rigidity. Evening Primrose is for those times when we are most impressionable, like an impact on water that has ripples far and wide. Evening primrose can assure you in soft whispers. You are wanted. You are safe. There's so much more in here that I love. Actually, I might have to sit with this card because I'm kind of feeling that feeling. I like how it said it was a moonbeam. So yeah, if you could just get a sense that it has a very poetic way and sort of spiritual, energetic way of leaning into that plant. Its uses without it being, it's not very educational in that way. It's more so experiential and spiritual. So if that makes sense, I feel like that's kind of the way that I would like my plant decks to be. And I love the black, super cool. I think that's like an element that just makes it all the more visually enchanting for me, that the artwork doesn't necessarily represent the plant like realistically, but it gives more of the energy behind it and an artistic interpretation of it as well. So highly recommend this deck. I love it dearly. The next two decks are decks that I've had for quite a long time, and I feel like they've been talked about so much on TarotTube, so I will also try to get through these quite quickly. I've talked about these quite a bit. This is a thick one. I don't know what edition this is. I always start pulling the deck out of the box before I say anything, so let me just show you the box. It is the Reclaim Oracle, and I don't use this deck often, to be completely honest. It's a deck that I use pretty much for special occasions, whether they be good special occasions or struggle special occasions. It seems to show up in all of those, which makes a lot of sense because this deck has 88 cards, a range of emotions and experiences, and it illustrates them very powerfully and very beautifully. I feel like the Poesis, it just has that sort of like really amazing way of just showing what that card is about through the image just very clearly. And it can be an intense deck to work with. I'll be honest, like it's not one that I would say you can sort of pull in like any old reading. It definitely will. I mean, in my experience, it has derailed a reading like that because I'm just like, what is that about? Like that's just like a whole energy that I didn't expect, or it just doesn't feel like it fits that kind of environment. But that's just my personal experience. If you have a different experience, you definitely let me know. But yeah, this is a big one for me. I remember when I got this card at a time in 2022, I believe. Yes, 2022. That was incredibly difficult, and it just showed up for me, and it tells me the truth. It's really honest, and it's always caring though. Like it. So yeah, I would say that it's, if you have a specific, emotional experience that you want to tap into, this would be the deck for that. And if you know the deck well, or if you feel like you have a specific emotion that's in here that you want to center a reading around, I think that would also be that is a great way to work with it. I always jump straight into suggestions instead of experience, but anyway, yeah, I think this deck is really amazing, and I feel like it's a great tool. Like, I think that's what some of these decks feel like, which are tools. Like, they feel, I mean, like, look how many freaking cards are in here. I mean, I love the matte black edge. Did I show the backs? Here are the backs. I think they're really beautiful, and is that glaring? There we go. Anyway, and the guidebook. It's a little book that goes inside the box, but it's written in this, I mean, like I said, I have an older version, so it's handwritten in there, which I love. I'm so glad I have a handwritten version. So let me just grab a random card and see, and it's in alphabetical order, so it's easy to find. We'll look at Envy. That's a cool one, right? Okay, so it's in alphabetical order, so it should be easy to find. Here we go. Okay, Envy, it says, envy is wanting something I don't have. Not because I need it, but because I need it to feel whole. I am not small, no, but I feel small, and the hole in my heart needs filling. Envy is wishing for someone else's dream because my own feels unattainable. Damn. So yeah, I really like that. I'm gonna do one more because I kind of think it's quite amazing. Okay, let's do a good one. I'm looking at shame and validation. Those are really good ones. I kind of want to do them anyway, but I don't know. We'll just do stillness. Actually, I was just talking to my QPP today about stillness, and how it's the foundation for manifestation. Anyway, stillness. Let's go to the S. Here we go. Stillness is a little peace. It's a feeling I notice, a little boat on the river. I watch it float by without interrupting. Stillness is a soft wind in the spring, a teardrop in the morning, running down my sleepy cheek. It's being here now, knowing that now is all I have, and being okay with it. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. Yeah, so that is the Reclaim Oracle. It's extremely versatile and very beautiful, and I'm very grateful for it. Another, as I said, a deck that is not does not come as too much of a surprise. We have the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud. This one is another long-term staple deck. I feel like it's just one of those, oh yeah, I have it completely borderless, and I edged it in sort of the colors of the back here. So yeah, this deck feels like the best deck that has the most resonant view, or I should say, view and imagery around how I feel this kind of energy. I think it's the guidebook. It's a hardcover, thick ass guidebook. I really like the way it's written. It's has suits based on the different types of beings that are included. And yeah, I find this deck to be really wonderful when a companion, and they're not all, they're, upright and reversed, because for this one I do tend to use reversals because there's reverse meanings, and sometimes I prefer to have that outright clarity on whether the reverse meaning is indicated. Yeah, just depending on the deck. So yeah, and this is one of them. Yeah, the images are luminous. I love a deck that treats the beings in them as beings and not ideas. I think that's because of I feel like my tendency toward an animistic view of the world, and viewing like all things as alive. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's it, maybe that's not, but obviously this is the kind of deck that would treat the content as such, because they are fairy beings. And yeah, I like this when I need a guardian or someone to speak into my situation, or to check with my own energy, the energy of a situation. Sometimes I really like to go through a deck and choose cards as well, as opposed to only allowing the cards to sort of randomly come forward. I like to go in and look at the energy and see kind of the energy of each card, and determine through the sort of imagery alone, the colors, the feeling that I get based on it, and then go from there. I feel like this is a really cool deck for that, especially if you don't have a lot of familiarity with the fairies in here, or if it's been a while. And yeah, so even when I know who, these are the Oakmen, I'm pretty sure, even when I sort of know who it is in the picture, I still feel like it works that way. So I really like that. And this is this honesty? Gosh, I could be wrong. Communication. I know it's about communication, but I kind of want to just check, just to give an example. I did leave the numbers on there, but sometimes it's a little bit hard. I won't say, no, that's not honesty. Yeah, I know honesty. Yeah, honesty looks very different. Oh, this is Arvel Parrot, communication. So this is what the guidebook looks like. Very thick. So Arvel points to the light in his throat center. In esoteric lore, the energy center at the throat is about communication. Fairies are great communicators, though not necessarily in words as we use them. They speak through words, of course, but they also speak through the rustle of leaves, the pattern of clouds in the sky, the way flower petals fall. They tickle us with touches almost too subtle to feel, trying to get our attention, and they sometimes speak through our dreams and daydreams. So it says, Arvel says that we humans can semaphore each other by flashing the lights in our throat centers. In fact, he says we do that and read the messages on an unconscious level, which is one of the ways we pick up on the unspoken feelings and thoughts of another. Arvel also says, and I agree, that almost any situation can be improved by people listening to each other, and that listening is half full of good communication. Is a full half of good communication. The other half, of course, is speaking truly and clearly. Yeah, that is. There's so much more, and but yeah, I really love that. I love that I'm able to connect with the beings. It feels very much like Dirt Gems in that way, where I feel like I'm connecting to a very specific entity that, you know, has a message for me and has wisdom embodied in it. Yeah, I like the Fairies Oracle a lot. I appreciate them. They're another staple. Are these all staples, as I say? Maybe not all, though. Actually, I think that some of them are not quite staples. So this next one, I will say, yeah, the reason why I would say this one is not a staple is because I think it's very specific to your taste. I mean, they're all specific to your taste, right? But I just mean that things like Mystical Shaman, I just feel like is one of those, and Reclaim are just kind of two of those decks that I feel like more so Reclaim, maybe. You know what? Let me shut up. I don't know why I'm going on this thing of staples. You do whatever you're gonna do. Yeah, and I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do. I'm also using this in an upcoming video, so I'm gonna take that sack and put it to the side. This is the Outgrow Yourself Tarot and Oracle. I chose it for the Oracle section, not for the Tarot section. And I thought that was a little bit of cheating, but I don't think it's cheating because mostly what I look at is the imagery and the title at the top. So the title at the top is the Oracle message, and the bottom title is based on the Thoth deck. So yeah, this would be the Four of Wands. And it says, can you accept a new beginning? I really look at the body language of the person. Obviously, the colors are meant to be somewhat close to the Thoth, but it's the oracle at the top that I most pay attention to. You're already there. Enjoy. Opulence is a state of mind. I love that. So this is another deck. I don't know. It falls into sort of the same category as the Reclaim, and I just I really enjoy what it has to say and how honest it is. It feels like a good friend who's honest with you, doesn't shy away, but like just gives you that like push that you need to, you know, handle whatever it is that you're facing. It occupies so much space for me. Like it occupies practical, spiritual, like logical, heart. Like it touches on so many different energies, I feel like. And I really appreciate that about it. I think it's just one of those that I feel like it's never not going to, maybe it's because it's based on tarot, it's just never not going to suit the situation. And no matter how much I use it, it's never going to, like, a message is not going to be like, oh yeah, you know, seen that card before. I don't know. Something about that. I think it's just a super unique deck, and I almost missed it in this list, to be honest, and I'm so glad I didn't. Did I show the backs? Yeah, I did show the backs when I named it. It comes in a tuck box, which I don't have the tuck box. I keep it in like a little bag. And I edged it, and like I didn't have a good black marker, and I never went back over it. And I think there's a card that I missed. And it chips really well. It's like kind of thin, and it chips. Did I say chips really well? I mean, it chips a little bit, but it's a great shuffle. This deck shuffles so beautifully. I'm obsessed. Let me just do it really quick on my lap here. So good. And that's not even the full deck. It just shuffles really beautifully. Love it. And make it happen. Is that the Emperor? No, Knight of Wands. Yikes. Alright, now we have the last three. I think. Is it going to be three? I said 3, so it's 3. The last 3. Okay. This is the Oracle of Initiation. This is the first edition that I got. I trimmed it because the heights were all messed up. I don't think I've ever said that when I've talked about this deck, but I recently used it. The guidebook is so good. I got this deck so affordably, secondhand. I had to get it because I've wanted this deck for so long. I have a deck by the creator. Here's the backs. They're shiny, so let me try not to glare them for you. There you go. I don't know if they still look like this. I don't know if they're still available right now. Sometimes the creator will close their shop for a bit, so just keep an eye out if you're interested. Melissa Lucia, I hope that's how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, the images are based on the creator going, I believe, in the desert of the southwest of the United States. I want to say specifically New Mexico, but I don't. Please correct me if I'm wrong, or look into that yourself to confirm. But these are all self-portraits, completely unedited, and they are just striking. They're luminous. They have suits. So these are an example of one of the suits. They have suit cards, and I love how this personal project has such profound resonance and universality. I think it's really incredible, and the guidebook just knocks it out of the park even more. Without the guidebook, I feel like it would, no, I was going to say it would maintain a very mystical quality, but I think the guidebook actually doesn't take away from the mystical quality. I think it enhances it. Yeah, I like the keywords a lot, and the images are just I was going to say to die for, or not to be beat. I don't know why I would say either of those things, but yeah, I just really enjoy these images. They're so cool. So cool. So cool. It reminds me of, it reminds me of some of the work that I do as far as the self-portraitness and the image encapsulating a very specific energy. Like each photograph is like an entire project. Each costume, each face painting and body painting, each rock in the background, each sky, light or darkness just feels like one singular project, an entity, a concept. Like it feels so robust and magical to me. So I feel like I could show so many cards to you, and we could just sit in awe, and I feel like we could write our own poetry with it. We could tell an entire story with it. These are things that I actually haven't done, but I do want to do. I just want to show you the guidebook really quick. It is so big, and it's so good. I'll specifically show you this remembrance card because it's the card that I recently worked with. It has 8 suits and 8 cards per suit, so it's really cool that it has like a very, it has a, let me show you. Where is this? Right at the very back. Here we go. So each card kind of, it's like a matrix. Which I think is fucking amazing. What card are we looking at? 58. So this is in the Gateway of Visionary, in the Visionary Gateway. I'm sorry, the Gateway of Unity, which is, yeah, the Gateway of Unity, which talks about Visionary. But yeah, it's the Innocence of Unity, because it's the first card, which means it's in the first column, which is the Innocence column. So this is the Innocence of Unity, and that apparently, based on the work of this creator, how they've described that is release, ancient, and coding. It says the beginning of reunification is an ancient remembrance of your vast connections to everything, showing you the depth and breadth of your sacred humanity. You have reopened these infinite channels, living from this expansive wisdom. The ancient encoding awakened allows you to decipher the symbols from your greatest lineages of the past. The innocence of unity requires humility and dedication to harness the immense powers available in your divine esoteric heritage. What ancient resources have you reclaimed access to, and how will you wield this inspiring power? And then it talks about every card has a connection to some sort of deity or figure. This one is, oh my gosh, I'm going to say it wrong. I'm going to put it on the screen. And yeah, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to say it incorrectly. But yes, I do know her story, and I actually connected with her recently from the Goddess Oracle. So I probably should know how to say it, but I don't remember. And then it has a featured writer that gives, it's called The Oracle Speaks Through, and this one is through Colleen Renee, and they give us through the Oracle of this card mixed with this deity, and they have their own writing there. So this is what it looks like, just to give you the example there. I hope that's visible to some degree. But yeah, so I find it incredibly powerful and so mystical. I mean, and it's just so mystical. It's so mystical. And as a bitch who love initiation, I'm all up in this. The Oracle of Initiation, I feel like if you are going through something, like in the middle of something, or at a new beginning, or at the ending of something, you know, whatever the case may be, if you feel like you're in that, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Throwback to the last video, a Ten of Swords moment. This is a wonderful, wonderful deck for that. I just think, I don't know. Am I saying anything in this video? You let me know. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into the last two decks. These last two decks are quite new in my collection, but they have risen the ranks, which sounds weird to say. I don't know why I said that. They've risen up into becoming clearly to the point where if I didn't put them on the list, I felt like I would like be missing out on telling the whole truth. You know what I mean? So they're not like super new. So it's not like new relationship energy where I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. You're like, you're the best thing. Like, I can't believe, well, you know, whatever. It's more so just that I feel like they were just perfect timing decks that I have had my eye on, both of them, for quite a long time. And so finally they're here, and they kind of were what I expected them to be. And they're just good. Like, they hit the thing that I'm looking for in what they are. And the first one is the Priestess of Light. And I think I've said this, I always feel like I have to say which video the last time I spoke about this deck is not necessary. But anyway, I did talk about it at some point. I don't know. Osiris is in it. So Isis and Osiris are in it, among a few other goddesses. Yeah, I know Lakshmi is in it. I can't think of anybody else in this moment. But yeah, those are the backs. Did I just show the backs? Yeah, those are the backs. I'm just gonna do a quickie shuffle. So priestess is a word that, or a title that I have been on the path to embracing and sort of being, yeah, just being on that path. Path of the Priestess, as you might say. And so yeah, this deck came in at this time for that reason, to sort of explore that for myself. And so that is the kind of primary way that I have been approaching this deck. This is a deck that I read through the entire guidebook before I used it. It just had that, it felt like the deck that it would be necessary for, and so I followed my intuition for that, and I did just that, and it was a really beautiful experience. I did it pretty quickly, I would say, like in 2-3 days tops. I tried not to break it up into too many sections or to take too long to do it, because I really wanted to feel the full weight of the deck and all of its meanings to be really like present when I first started working with the deck. So I didn't work with it until then, and I'm still looking forward to doing more of the spreads inside of it. I think I've only done one so far, but I've been using it for myself in connection with Osiris and in just my spiritual path and how I'm connecting with spirits, God. And yeah, so that's just been really illuminating and really exciting. I find it to be very encouraging is too light of a word. It feels, so this is Lakshmi in here. Like I said, I don't know what I've shown so far. Honestly, I'm not super paying attention to which ones exactly are showing up, but yeah, it's a very luminous deck. It combines animal energy as well. Lots of, I would say not lots of horses, but quite a few horses, quite a few different felines in here, wolf, etc. Oh yeah, we have swans on this one, which is really quite resonant for me, as I've had a few swan experiences as of late. But yeah, how do I describe? They really, yes, they connect me in with my power. There we go. Not encouraging, empowering. But even that feels like a little, they connect me in with my power and with power that exists in the way that, the way that energy moves and how it's moving in my life. It feels like it's very good at pinpointing where I'm at in my spiritual practice and in my connections and in my clarity, in my psychic abilities and realm. It's a power deck. There you go. It's just a power deck. It feels tapped into power itself and how to connect and how to remain connected to this multidimensional experience. Yeah. That is the Priestess of Light. Every entry has a affirmation, and I really enjoy the keywords. You don't really need the guidebook, which is really cool. I really like that. Not a lot of these other decks feel that way. But this one's a nice addition, especially the deeper that you want to go into a reading. At least this has been my experience. The deeper that you want to go into the reading, the more amazing it is to go into the guidebook. Like, I will pull a card, kind of write out my interpretation. I like to journal with this deck specifically. This is a really wonderful deck for journaling. I think quite all of these would be really great opportunities to journal. I don't always journal about the cards, or I don't always journal through a reading, but that's one that I most often do, especially because it's usually in communion with spirits. But yeah, write out kind of my interpretation so far, and then going into the book and finding these little resonant moments inside of there, and then usually the affirmation is really spot on. But I like to also then maybe write my own, or kind of put my own spin on it, because you know me, I like to do whatever I want, and I don't like being told what to say in an affirmation or a prayer or anything. So yeah, that's how I approach that. But I just find it to be a really beautiful, luminous deck, and I really appreciate the perspective from which it was created. The artist has done an incredible, wonderful, supreme job, and so I really love that deck. Lastly, this is another new deck in my collection. I only have the mini. I want to get the full size at some point, but then I'm just like, should I not? I haven't decided. It is the Wild Unknown Pocket Archetypes deck. I do have the Alchemy deck, and I thought about putting that one also on this list, but it's different. It could have been on the list, so I guess we can call it an honorable mention, but I'm not going to show it. It's crazy how small this guidebook is, but it's the exact same one. Like, that's wild to me. But I'm grateful. So if this serves as an example, right? The last reading that I did with this deck, this is the card that came up, and it is one of my words of the year, which is bridge. So an example of how connected this deck feels for me in a similar way to the Priestess of Light. I feel like it's the perfect timing for me, and it sort of just feels like a deck that kind of just suits my way of reading really well. Going back to what I was going to say about the Archetypes Oracle, I find that deck, since I've gotten this one, I feel like this one's a little bit more clear. Maybe it's because I'm not super familiar with alchemy that much, so there is there's always a sense of like, I do need the guidebook, whereas, which is nothing wrong with that, but this one feels like a little bit more direct to read, because in a lot of ways, obviously, I recognize the archetypes in this deck, so they're more recognizable. And so even when it's something that maybe I haven't, you know, had a journey with, for example, oh, maybe the cave is not a good example, because that's one that I have. So, like, for example, I probably haven't gone the distance on Venom, right? But it's something that on its own, I could make sense of it based on the reading that I'm in. Shit. So let me show you a couple cards more than just what I've said. So yeah, I think the images are wonderful. I love having the mini because it fits in with some other small decks that I have. So it gives me a chance to use those smaller decks. And I also feel like I wanted to get the small because I didn't want this to always be the focal point of the reading. I wanted to use it as a clarifier or as an addition to a reading, as opposed to the focal point of the reading. So that's kind of why I mostly went for the small, because I think it would have been a little too easy to make this the center point every single time, and I just didn't want to start off with that approach. But so far, I did one of the readings in one of the spreads in the guidebook, and it was really wonderful. I did it with my QPP, and so we had such a really wonderful time with that. I'm looking forward to soon doing the one in the guidebook called The Heroine's Journey, I believe. And I think that one's like a 7-card reading. The first one was like a 5-card reading that I did. It was The Inner Quest. But yeah, I mean, Kim Kranz's decks are really wonderful, and I think this is one of the best in my opinion. I don't have the animal one now. I have all of them except for the animal one. So, but I have some experience with the animal one because a friend of mine has that deck. So we've, done, they've done readings with it. And so we've talked about the deck in some depth. Anyway, so yeah, this deck is just, I think it just speaks for itself. I'm sure a lot of folks have it and can speak to just how versatile it is and how powerful it is. And I like the way that Kim Kranz approaches her guidebooks, and I find them to be, I mean, even though you don't need it, I always find there to be super cool perspectives. I just think she's really tapped into the energies that she illustrates, which makes a lot of sense. You can really feel that connection to what she's drawing. Like there's a soul element of each drawing. It feels very much almost channeled. So I think that's maybe why her guidebook also feels so pinpointed and exact. I just like the way that she talks about things. Yeah, so I like when she has a when light, when dark, and to go deeper. And so also in the alchemy deck, there's also like giving you an example of like an artwork that you can go view or listen to, whatever it is, or watch, and to have another experience of that. She really pulls in a multifaceted experience of each thing that she's presenting you with. So yeah, this is just me raving about Kim Kranz and the way that she creates her decks. So yeah, I find the deck to be a beautiful companion, and one that's just, I think I've said this, I say this phrase, I don't know, I kind of know what it means anyways. I stands the test of time. I feel like it's one of those decks that's just like a very long-term deck, and no matter how much I read it, I think that's, I forget what other deck I just said that about, but like, no matter how many times I read it, I could, go through it 100 times, and Jesus, I'm always going to get something new from it. At least, maybe that's too ambitious to say as someone who recently got the deck, so I'll hold my hands up and say that, you could say that I don't have enough experience to say such a thing, but you can kind of just tell when a video is that expansive, when a deck is that expansive, that it's always going to, it's because they're archetypes, so they're never going to they're never going to cease to be relevant. Anyway, so yeah, that's all the decks. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this video was coherent. I feel a little bit loopy. So yeah, I hope it was a good time, that you got something from it. Let me know your thoughts down below if you have any, if you have anything you want to share. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye. Bye.